Barron Trump settled into the corner table of a quaint cafe nestled in the heart of a bustling American city. His chosen refuge, a faded leather armchair by the window, offered a fleeting sense of tranquility. Here, amidst the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and the soft murmur of patrons, he found solace in a well-worn book. The sun cast a gentle glow through the window, illuminating the dust particles that danced in the air. It was his moment of quiet, an escape from the glaring eyes and whispered judgments of the outside world. Suddenly, the cafe's door flew open with a force that caused heads to turn. A man, his face etched with frustration and resentment, stormed in. His presence was like a thunderclap, shattering the serene atmosphere. He locked eyes with Barron, and a palpable tension filled the room. "Hey you!" the stranger bellowed, pointing an accusatory finger at Barron. "Do you even know what it's like out there? Do you have any idea what real struggles are?" Barron looked up from his book, his calm demeanor unshaken. He recognized the anger, the pain behind those eyes. The cafe's patrons exchanged uneasy glances, while the barista froze mid-pour, her hand trembling slightly. The man's accusations echoed in the cafe, mingling with the clinking of cups and the hiss of the espresso machine. The scent of roasted beans and vanilla hung heavy in the air, creating a stark contrast to the charged atmosphere. Barron could feel the weight of the stares upon him, each one a silent question, a judgment. Taking a deep breath, Barron closed his book and placed it gently on the table. He looked up at the stranger, meeting his gaze with a steady, empathetic look. "Why don't you have a seat?" he offered, his voice calm and inviting. "Let's talk." The man's shoulders sagged slightly, the initial burst of anger giving way to something more vulnerable. He hesitated, then took a seat opposite Barron, his eyes still wary but now tinged with curiosity. The cafe seemed to hold its breath as the two men faced each other. The barista resumed her work, though her eyes occasionally flicked towards the corner table. Conversations, once muted, began to pick up again, but the tension lingered, like the distant rumble of an approaching storm. Barron leaned forward, his expression open and sincere. "I get it," he said softly. "Life can be incredibly hard. But sometimes, sharing our stories can help. What's your name?" The man's eyes softened, his anger dissipating like mist in the morning sun. He took a deep breath, his hands trembling slightly as he placed them on the table. "My name is Jack," he replied, his voice a mix of resignation and hope. The cafe's ambience began to shift, the initial shock giving way to a tentative sense of curiosity. The patrons leaned in slightly, their interest piqued by the unfolding drama. The barista, now calmer, continued to make drinks, her movements more fluid and assured. Barron smiled gently. "Nice to meet you, Jack. Tell me what's been going on. What's brought you to this point?" The atmosphere in the cafe grew warmer, the initial tension melting away like snow in the spring. The sounds of clinking cups and soft laughter filled the air, blending with the rich aroma of coffee and pastries. It was as if the cafe itself had exhaled, releasing the collective breath it had been holding. Jack's shoulders relaxed, and he began to speak, his words hesitant at first but gradually gaining confidence. "I lost my job a few months ago," he admitted, his voice wavering. "And then, things just started falling apart. My family, they don't understand. They think I should just get over it, but it's not that simple." Barron listened intently, nodding occasionally to show he understood. He could see the pain in Jack's eyes, the weight of his struggles bearing down on him. "That sounds incredibly tough," Barron said softly. "I'm really sorry you're going through this." Jack's eyes widened in surprise at Barron's empathy. He had expected judgment, perhaps even disdain, but not this. He took a deep breath, the tension in his body easing slightly. "Thanks," he murmured. "I guess I just needed someone to listen." Barron reached across the table, his hand extended in a gesture of solidarity. "We all need that sometimes," he said, "and I'm here to listen. You're not alone in this." The simple act of reaching out seemed to have a profound effect on Jack. He took Barron's hand, his grip firm yet trembling. In that moment, something shifted. An unspoken understanding, a bridge built between two strangers. The cafe, once filled with tension and unease, now buzzed with a sense of camaraderie. Patrons exchanged smiles, their earlier discomfort replaced by a newfound appreciation for the power of empathy. The barista, her movements more relaxed and graceful, glanced over at the corner table, a small smile playing on her lips. As Jack continued to share his story, Barron listened with unwavering attention. He nodded, offered words of encouragement, and shared his own experiences with judgment and misunderstanding. Their conversation flowed easily, the initial hostility dissolving into a genuine connection. In the heart of the bustling city, amidst the clinking cups and the rich aroma of coffee, two strangers found solace in each other's company. And as they talked, the cafe itself seemed to come alive with a sense of hope and unity. Jack hesitated for a moment, then began to share his story in earnest. "I worked at a tech company for years," he explained. "I put my heart and soul into that job. But then the layoffs happened. Just like that, my life was turned upside down. I tried to keep it together, but it felt like everything was falling apart." The cafe hummed with activity, but Barron's focus remained solely on Jack. He listened intently, absorbing each word with empathy and understanding. The rich aroma of coffee continued to weave through the air, creating a comforting backdrop to their conversation. "I lost my job and my family. Well, they didn't understand," Jack continued, his voice trembling. "They expected me to bounce back, to find something new right away. But it's not that simple. I felt like I was failing them, failing myself." Barron nodded, his expression thoughtful. He knew the weight of expectations, the pressure to conform to a certain image. "I can understand that," he said softly. "It's incredibly hard when people don't see the struggles you're going through." Jack sighed deeply, his shoulders slumping as he spoke. "I tried to keep it together, but the stress just kept piling up. And then the final straw, my wife left. She said she couldn't handle it anymore." The raw pain in Jack's voice resonated through the cafe, a poignant reminder of the complexities of human emotions. Barron felt a surge of empathy for the man sitting across from him, recognizing the vulnerability that came with sharing such deeply personal experiences. "I'm really sorry to hear that," Barron said gently. "That's a lot to deal with all at once. It's understandable that you're feeling overwhelmed." Jack's eyes filled with tears, and he wiped them away with a trembling hand. "I just feel so lost," he admitted. "I don't know how to move forward. It's like everything I once knew has been taken away from me." Barron leaned in, his gaze unwavering. "You're not alone in this, Jack," he said firmly. "Everyone goes through tough times, and it's okay to feel lost. But remember, there's always a way forward. Sometimes it just takes a little help from others." The cafe's patrons, now more attuned to the unfolding conversation, exchanged subtle glances of understanding. The air was thick with empathy, a collective recognition of the shared human experience. The barista, her movements graceful and deliberate, prepared a fresh cup of coffee and placed it on the counter, a silent gesture of support. "Thank you for listening," Jack said, his voice breaking slightly. "I didn't expect this. I didn't think anyone would understand." Barron offered a reassuring smile. "Sometimes all it takes is a listening ear and a kind heart," he said. "I'm here for you, Jack. We all need support, and it's important to remember that." Jack's eyes met Barron's, and in that moment, a connection was forged. One built on empathy, understanding, and a shared sense of humanity. The cafe, once filled with tension and unease, now seemed to breathe easier, its patrons united by the powerful impact of a heartfelt conversation. As they continued to talk, Barron shared his own experiences with judgment and misunderstanding. He spoke about the challenges of living in the public eye, the constant scrutiny and expectations that often felt suffocating. "I've had people assume things about me because of my name, my background," he said. "But the truth is, everyone has their own struggles. We're all just trying to find our way." Jack nodded, his expression softening with each word. "I never thought about it that way," he admitted. "I guess we all have our own battles, no matter who we are." The cafe's ambience grew warmer, the earlier tension now replaced by a sense of camaraderie and mutual support. The patrons, once silent observers, became active participants in the unfolding narrative. Their smiles and nods of agreement created a ripple effect, spreading kindness throughout the room. Barron reached out again, his hand extended in a gesture of solidarity. "We're all in this together," he said, "and sometimes a little empathy can go a long way." Jack took Barron's hand, his grip firmer this time. In that simple act, the weight of his struggles seemed to lighten, replaced by a renewed sense of hope and possibility. The café, now a sanctuary of connection and understanding, buzzed with the harmonious blend of clinking cups and shared laughter. The rich aroma of coffee and pastries continued to weave through the air, creating a comforting backdrop to the heartfelt exchange. As the conversation flowed, Barron and Jack discovered common ground, a shared understanding that transcended their differences. In the heart of the bustling city, amidst the hustle and bustle of everyday life, two strangers found solace in each other's company. As the conversation continued, the café transformed into a haven of connection and understanding. The once tense atmosphere had given way to a sense of unity, as patrons shared knowing glances and warm smiles. The barista, moved by the unfolding scene, prepared an extra cup of coffee and brought it over to Barron and Jack, setting it on their table with a gentle nod. Jack's eyes glistened with gratitude as he took a sip of the freshly brewed coffee. "Thank you, Barron," he said, his voice filled with genuine appreciation. "I never expected this kind of kindness from a stranger." Barron smiled warmly. "Sometimes a little empathy can make all the difference," he replied. "We all have our struggles, and it's important to remember that we're not alone. Helping each other through tough times is what makes us stronger." Jack nodded, a newfound sense of hope and determination shining in his eyes. "You're right," he said. "I guess I lost sight of that along the way. But today has reminded me that there's still goodness in the world." The patrons around them, inspired by the heartfelt exchange, began to engage in their own acts of kindness. A young woman offered to help an elderly man with his coat, while a group of friends invited a lone diner to join their table. The café buzzed with the warm hum of conversations and laughter, a testament to the ripple effect of empathy. As Barron and Jack continued to talk, they discovered more about each other's lives. They shared stories of triumphs and setbacks, of dreams and aspirations. Each word they exchanged further solidified their connection, a reminder of the power of human connection in the face of adversity. Eventually, Barron glanced at his watch and realized it was time for him to leave. He stood up, extending his hand to Jack once more. "It was a pleasure talking with you, Jack," he said sincerely. "Remember, you have the strength to overcome anything that comes your way." Jack shook Barron's hand firmly, his grip now steady and confident. "Thank you, Barron," he replied. "I'll never forget this conversation. You've given me the strength to keep moving forward." As Barron made his way to the door, the patrons of the café watched him with newfound respect and admiration. The café, once filled with tension and unease, now radiated a sense of hope and unity. The barista, wiping down the counter with a contented smile, looked up and met Barron's gaze. She offered a small, appreciative nod, acknowledging the impact of his actions. Barron stepped out into the bustling city streets, a sense of fulfillment washing over him. He knew that the connection he had made with Jack, and the ripple effect it had created, was a testament to the enduring power of empathy and understanding. Inside the café, Jack sat back down, a thoughtful expression on his face. He looked around at the patrons, his heart swelling with gratitude for the kindness and support he had received. He realized that, despite the challenges he faced, he was not alone. There was a world of people willing to listen, to help, and to connect. The café, now a beacon of compassion, continued to hum with the sounds of clinking cups and warm laughter. The rich aroma of coffee and pastries filled the air, creating a comforting backdrop to the acts of kindness that unfolded within its walls. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the city, the café stood as a testament to the power of empathy and human connection. The patrons, inspired by the exchange between Barron and Jack, carried the spirit of compassion with them, spreading it to the world beyond the café's doors. In the end, it wasn't just a chance encounter between two strangers. It was a reminder to all who witnessed it of the profound impact that empathy can have. It was a story of healing, of hope, and of the enduring strength of the human spirit. And so, dear reader, remember this. A simple act of kindness can create a ripple that touches countless lives. We are all interconnected, and through empathy and understanding, we can build a world where everyone feels seen, heard, and valued. Let this story inspire you to extend a hand, to listen with an open heart, and to be a beacon of compassion in your own life. In a world where people are quick to judge, quick to assume, and quick to anger, this moment between Barron and Daniel serves as a reminder of something greater. Empathy is a bridge, one that can connect the most unlikely of individuals. Perhaps we all carry burdens unseen by others. Perhaps the person we resent has wounds of their own. And perhaps, if we listen instead of assume, we might just find that we are not as different as we once believed. Kindness does not erase hardship, but it can remind us that we are not alone. And sometimes that is enough.